95.7 The Game breaking news.
The San Francisco Giants have indeed made a fairly major signing. This is a 9-figure deal, and one of the players that has been much discussed, while not the player, but Jung-Hoo Lee, who has been an absolute star in the KBO and is coming over to Major League Baseball, 24-year-old center fielder, 6 years, $113 million with an opt-out after 4 years. Jung-Hoo Lee is a Giant.
That's big. Good job, Farhan. I don't know if he's any good, but congratulations on signing a player to more than 3 years and inking a guy to 9 figures or more. Although the opt-out, it doesn't scare me, but I wonder, is it a player opt? Is it a, do we know, who has the opt?
I'm sure it's player. I'm sure it's player. We don't know that, but I'm sure that it's a player option.
No, that's great, though.
And I will tell you this.
Basically $19 million a year, roughly.
Obviously, we don't know. We have not watched the person play.
Right.
But this is somebody who's young, and this was one of their top targets. You know, Shohei Ohtani, Yamamoto, Jung-Hoo Lee. This does take the Giants out of the Cody Bellinger market, I would imagine. That's another aspect of this, which I got to tell you, I love the idea of Cody Bellinger, sort of, like in theory, in spirit, but it's also kind of a relief because Cody Bellinger has been so up and down the last 5 years as a player. He did great last year at Wrigley Field, but as a left-handed hitter, I just wonder, who's about to turn 30 pretty soon, whether or not that made actual sense for a long-term deal for the Giants, and it would have been probably twice as expensive as this one. So now you get youth. This is supposedly a star defensively.
Right.
This is a very, very fleet of foot defensive star who
center fielder
has shown the ability to hit the ball. In the KBO, dealt with a little bit of injury last year, but the year before that, 23 homers and an OPS of almost 1,000. Jung-Hoo Lee is a Giant, and I don't know, again, is this front page news? I don't know if you want to call it that,
right.
But this is you gotta feel something about this in a positive way with regard to what the Giants are doing.
I feel this way in terms of the positivity of the move. I feel good about the fact that Farhan was willing to go out there and spend more than $100 million, and you and I talked about this as where is the bar set? The bar was set for a 9-figure deal. This is, in theory, a 9-figure deal. It is in principle if he plays all 6 years at $19 million on average annual value, roughly, for Lee over 6 years. And I wanted to have him sign a guy for a long time. And that's what this is. So I don't know if he's any good. You don't know if he's any good.
Of course not.
But Farhan Zaidi obviously thinks that this player is going to be pretty good.
I called him 24. He's just a few months ago had his 25th birthday, so he's coming up on his
deal breaker.
age 25 season. But again, it achieves a couple of things that the Giants love. This is grabbing someone for their 20s as opposed to grabbing somebody for their 30s. And then let me tell you this. By the way, those of you who are expecting Peter King, we've simply pushed him another 20 minutes. Yep. Peter King will join us at 3:45. Would love to hear from some of you Giants fans on this deal, 888-957-9570. And does this in any way sort of calm your fears, or does this not do it for you? 888-957-9570. But this is move one, and here's what I mean by that. I have long thought that this offseason was not simply going to be about free agency, it was also going to be about trades. And now think of what we're looking at, current framework of the Giants' outfield roster. This is all on the roster at once. Jung-Hoo Lee, Mike Yastrzemski, Austin Slater, Conforto, Haniger, Matos. Hell, there are others you could put out there.
That's
Lamont
a quick
Wade.
6 right there.
That's too many.
Lamont at first base, right? In theory, but
sure, for the most part.
Or the DH. You have a DH spot, too, with Jock Peterson being gone.
No doubt. But at minimum, you've got 6 true blood outfielders.
Right.
And that's too many. And
yes.
I have thought the whole time that trades were going to come from the Giants. I think they have a wealth of young minor league arms that interest people. And when you combine them with some of these outfielders, whether it's someone who's on the younger end, like a Matos or a Slater,
right,
or whether it's someone on the more established end, if they can ever be healthy in Conforto and Haniger, I do think there's going to be a deal that includes Giants outfielders to bring in someone else.
You do have excess in terms of outfielders, and you do have a good number of pitching prospects that you could package along with those outfielders to bring in somebody like Pete Alonso, for example. You know, if it's 3 prospects and 2 major leaguers or 4 prospects and 1 major leaguer, whatever the haul is, you absolutely need to do more to improve this offense, because you don't know if Lee is going to come in and be able to be as productive as he was in the KBO. And I was asking you where the KBO falls in terms of like a comp as a league. Is it a AA league? Is it a AAA league? We know it's not as good as the bigs.
Yeah.
Like, what do those numbers mean when 2 years ago he has an OPS of 996?
I don't know if I'm qualified to answer that. I just know that, you know, the way I look at it, the players who have come over from either Korea or Japan and made Major League Baseball executives think, I want to give that guy at least $100 million, largely have worked out. Largely have worked out.
In terms of hitters, we're talking about.
Anyone. Pitchers, too.
To me, it's a completely different ballpark, because pitchers, I think, are more bankable than hitters when they come over.
Probably, but again, I think age factors into this. But if you go through the years, say a Suzuki, and I know I shouldn't blend Korea and Japan. I'm just talking about the way that the international prospects who are out there and the way Major League Baseball execs look at these guys. There are very few, I would argue, that come over for big dollars and then are total busts. So what that says to me is that those leagues over there, I think they've got a pretty good idea of how it translates. So is it 1 for 1? No, I'm not saying the guy's going to come in and automatically have a 1,000 OPS. I'm sure there'll be a learning curve to a degree, but I also think the chances of him coming over and just busting out and being a 220 hitter are very, very small. Plus, this guy also checks a lot of organizational boxes that they really value. In other words, this is someone who hits for power, who also walks more than he strikes out. That's wild. You don't get a lot of that in today's baseball. But his entire career, which started all the way back at age 18 in the KBO, this guy has struck out 304 times and walked 383. A power hitter, a guy that in 627 at-bats with 23 home runs 2 years ago only struck out 32 times. That's impressive. That's somebody who knows how to handle a bat. He can handle center field. Giants fans have asked for position players who will be in the field every single day. Check. There's one.
Yeah, if he can hit and he can produce enough. And I'm looking at the current list of players from the KBO. Ji-Man Choi is a guy who's been over here for a long time. He came over in 2016, and he played in the KBO. So in terms of, comps, you're looking for players who've come from the Korean baseball organization and been able to come over here. And I'm thinking more in terms of hitters, because I think pitchers have had a greater level of success from Korea, from Japan, coming over. I think it's easier to look at a pitcher who dominates and, project him out as a Major League Baseball player and see him do well, as opposed to a hitter. I think it's tougher on hitters to make the jump, because the pitching over here is so much more difficult to face. Probably,
but I think, again, that's why they like him in terms of somebody who knows how to handle a bat. I wonder also, and does this do anything for you, I wonder if this is their leadoff hitter. I wonder if this is now, not just your everyday center fielder, your everyday leadoff hitter. It's kind of a thing that's gone away for some teams.
Right.
That old traditional, Brett Butler style leadoff hitter. But this guy seems to have that profile. I have no idea, obviously, what the Giants want to do with him in the lineup, but I would guess that it might be that. And again, he's not a power hitter. He's someone who has power. I think that, different type of a deal. I don't think he's going to come over here and hit 30 home runs. He never did that in the KBO. But he's somebody who could probably hit 15. And I think the Giants would be thrilled if he did that and hit whatever, I don't know, his career
340
hitter in the KBO.
With an on-base of 407.
Yeah.
He draws a lot of walks, and, the batting average is really good, and he does have some power, so
the metrics do it for you. Yeah.
Well, the metrics also, I think, to your point, line up toward him being a leadoff hitter because he does get on base, and he's good with the bat, and, if you bat 340 over there, I don't think you're going to come over here and bat 240. I don't think the drop-off would be that dramatic, so if you can come over here and have a good on base and provide a little bit of power while playing a very good, solid defense in center field, then yeah, you could see him playing 140 games and just having him be what we all have been begging for, Mark, is a mainstay.
Yeah.
Get me some players who I know are going to play 6 out of every 7 games.
888-957-9570. Look, from a name value standpoint, I know that a lot of people are looking for name value. Obviously, this is not Shohei Ohtani. It's not even Yamamoto, although that's all funny because they're nothing but names to us now that we've been told. I will say this, from sort of the baseball insider perspective, this is a major free agent. This is a major free agent. Jeff Passan, the way he just phrased this is outfielder Jung-Hoo Lee's deal with the Giants, 6 years, $113 million, opt out after 4 is a monster deal. And finally lands the Giants a big-time free agent after missing out on Ohtani, Aaron Judge, and others. That's the way Jeff Passan wrote it on Twitter just about a minute ago. So, I don't know. For a lot of us, it feels like this has turned into a tote board, which is not really the point of all of it.
Right.
But it does feel like a lot of people want to know, are the Giants playing at the top of the market? Are they actually able to land people who have choices? And for me, this yes. This has got to do something for the psyche of the fan, I would think. The whole organization, I would imagine.
Absolutely. When you spend $119 million or $113 million on a player and you give him 6 years, unless you're completely somebody who is a hater of Farhan Zaidi and the organization and you don't believe that they're going to make the right call on anybody, well, then I can't help you. But when you have an organization put this much faith in a player that most of us know nothing about.
Of course.
In Farhan Zaidi, you would imagine knows more about this player than almost anybody. And if he's willing to go 6 years and 113 and you put your faith in Farhan to get this one right, well then, good. Then they did land a big-time free agent. And Jeff Passan, a guy who knows more than 99.9% of all of us, if he says it's a big-time signing, then it is. And, you look at any of the lists of top free agents on the market, he's in the top 15, he's in the top 20 on every list.
No doubt. I do know this, and maybe this helps too, I don't know, but a division rival like this was target one. The San Diego Padres had assessed Jung-Hoo Lee as absolute, unequivocally target number 1 to land with the Padres. That was their number 1 free agent offseason wish list guy, and the Giants beat him out. Giants beat out that roster for this guy. So, look, there's no way to know, as you're saying. I mean, we're buying something. This is like shopping online, and I don't know if it fits.
Right.
You got to try it on. So, have no idea. But I think as we sit here today, it's an exciting development. This is in the direction that we were hoping for this to go. Now, of course, got to have a press conference and pass a physical. So there's that.
Yeah, you'd figure. We've been down
the Twitter has announced that the Giants have a player road before.
Right.
So be nice to have a press conference soon.
Yeah.
Very soon.
I mean, did we have somebody report that it's Jung-Hoo, W-H-O, Lee?
Oh, boy.
Much like the arson judge? Do we have a misname on the tweet? We got to make sure that we have every I dotted and every T crossed when it comes to this potential signing and whether or not it actually becomes a done deal. I'm looking at MLB.com, Mark, from back in November, and they had him ranked as the number 13 free agent on the market this upcoming offseason. They had Ohtani 1, Yamamoto 2, then Blake Snell, Bellinger, Aaron Nola, all the way down the list.
Much more known quantities, and I get that. Much more known quantities, although all older. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that's another thing. It's not even just the idea of having an everyday player, but this is somebody who can come hopefully into his prime and hold down center field for a long time and produce and be someone who knows who the Giants maybe even want to re-sign in a little while. But look, whether the Giants should be criticized for this or not, I don't know. But they are very, very hesitant when it comes to massive contracts for people who are in their 30s. And I get that. They're in a spot where it doesn't matter. You got to do it anyway. But for example, let's take Shohei. And every single baseball fan out there would love to have him on their team. But you're also going 10 years to the 40th birthday of someone who's currently hurt, by the way.
Right.
And we don't know how that's going to go. I don't know how that's going to go. How would you feel if Shohei in those 10 years has 2 good pitching years?
Or if he never pitches again. It's possible.
No, if he's hitting 45 home runs every year, who cares?
Right.
Who cares?
Exactly.
So, which he probably will, at least for the first half of the deal. Yeah. I don't know. I like the fact that he's 25.
Yep.
That's
Coming
awesome.
off of ankle surgery, which ended his season in August, according to MLB.com. So you do have that. And you actually were kind of joking about he's got to pass a physical, but he's got to pass a physical, Mark. And if
he's coming off.
If you bagged Carlos Correa for his failed physical and maybe he still had a plate in his foot and you decided that wasn't good enough, so you got to make sure that this kid's okay.
Fractured the left ankle in July.
Right. And
6 months ago, he broke his ankle.
Exactly. It says here on MLB.com his season ended in August. He was the MVP in the KBO. He hit 429 for Team Korea in the WBC as well. So good numbers in Korea, whatever that's worth. We'll find out if he can handle Major League pitching.
Yep. Led the highest average exit velocity of any KBO player. I'm just like scanning through stuff right now, just grabbing info. Yeah.
He also had a 6% walk rate.
Yeah. No, the
strikeout rate. Sorry. Strikeout rate.
He does not
6%.
strike out. He does not strike out a lot. He walks a lot. He hits for a high average. He's got some pop. He's fast. He'll steal a base here and there, and he will play defense in center field. I know that doesn't always sell tickets, but you've watched the defense of the Giants the last few years. It's gross. Absolutely gross baseball sometimes defensively. And so they've talked a lot about the middle of the diamond. And it'll be fascinating to see what they do now infield-wise, middle of the diamond. I think Tyro Estrada is pretty much locked down second base.
Yep.
You got Bailey behind the plate. You've got the new acquisition, Jung-Hoo Lee, in center field. What's going to happen at shortstop? Marco Luciano is probably going to get the first crack. But even if that goes well, I don't know if he's ever going to be a superstar defensively. But this has been a point of emphasis for the Giants is defense up the middle. And this is a very big first step on that.
Big time. And, you wonder about the shortstop, if Luciano can hold it down or if you have to make some moves there to bring in a better defensive player. One thing that we know about where the Giants sit in terms of competing against the Dodgers, you're probably not going to outslug the Dodgers. So how do you go about still competing in the NL West when you've got a good, young, athletic, fast Arizona team and you've got a Dodger team that's got a stacked lineup? Well, you've got to pitch and play defense better than everyone else. That's got to be your thing. And so if Lee comes in and he's able to play a great defensive center field and you're able to add an arm or two, maybe in the bullpen as well as in the rotation, well, now you can look at a team that maybe doesn't have the sexy name value in the batting order, but if you're better on defense and if you have better pitching, you can compete against these other teams.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm most excited about, because you're right. There's no way for us to even know exactly how this guy is going to perform. But the exciting part for me is that this is early. And I still think that there is a long offseason ahead, and it's only step one. But I do think it is an indicator of where the Giants are at, the aggressiveness level that they will have this offseason, and that there is much more to come. Signing this player or any center fielder for that matter, if it had been Bellinger, I've thought the whole time, not only does that mean now you've got an everyday center fielder, but it means that trades are coming. And I really firmly believe that. At least one, you can feel it trade, I think is coming this offseason for the Giants.
And I wonder who that would involve, if Kyle Harrison is on the move. And I was talking to someone earlier.
Really big. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're going to really make a big move, then he's your number one piece right now in terms of who you're going to trade.
Well, they've got other people at the top of the minors that baseball teams are interested in as far as young pitchers. I personally would love to see Kyle Harrison stay.
Of course.
That's what I would really hope.
Well, we saw Zach Wheeler get traded for a rental, and he's gone on to be a very good major league pitcher.
Yeah, but I mean, if you start to think about a minor leaguer or two, and then something from the wealth of outfield that they have, whether it's an Austin Slater, whoever. I think that you can put together a package that can land you someone significant. I don't know if it's Pete Alonso.
Right.
I don't know that, but I have every belief that the Giants are going to be and have already been having those conversations.
Of course they have, and it's a question of getting it done now and figuring out what the price is going to be and what you want to ship out in terms of what you want to bring back as far as sluggers go, because one thing that we've learned, it seems, over the years is that sluggers haven't voluntarily wanted to come here and choose this ballpark as a place to go out and slug. So you may have to use trade assets to acquire them against their will.
How do you feel about this? His dad, legendary father, I don't know if it's pronounced Boom.
I believe it is. I was going to get to this. I'm glad you found it.
Yeah. Jung-Hoo Lee, MVP winner in 1994. That's his dad.
Wow.
I don't know about you, but I like outfielders for the Giants whose dads were also awesome players. That worked once before.
I don't know who you mean.
Hold on. You're burying the lead, though.
What's the lead?
His dad, the MVP.
Yeah, the nickname. I got the nickname.
All right.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I got it. Want to know what his nickname is? Son of the Wind.
It's pretty fresh.
It's like out of NFL films or something like that.
It's like a Patrick Swayze song. Son of the Wind. R.I.P. Swayze.
Indeed.
Wait, you're going to finish the story?
Go ahead, Lucas.
So he is the grandson of the Wind.
Oh, that's a long nickname. I'll just go with
GSOTW.
I'll just go with Jung-Hoo Lee. How about that? There's fewer syllables than grandson of the Wind. But, if he steals a base, maybe I'll pull that out. I don't know.